Absolutely.
Can I just ask you where you're speaking from?
I'm speaking from Scarborough.
Lovely sunny Scarborough.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Can you see the sea from where you are?
Not from this chair, but I can from my other chair.
We'll imagine it. So we're here to talk about your cricket novel. This is here. It's called Guile and Spin.
That's right.
And, I wanted perhaps just to start us off, you could just give us an idea of the premise of the book.
Right. Well, it's basically about a man who can't stand cricket. So, which is very unfortunate for him, because he works as a manager in a sports hall, a council-run sports hall, and this is falling down and badly needs money. And he's enticed by a woman cricketer and by his boss to apply for government money in a scam to get a grant to repair the sports service. And he does this by resurrecting a cricket club and showing how everybody is benefiting from the sport in the area.
This is am I right? It's Moxham cricket.
Moxham Village. Yes, it's a fictitious village.
Yes. So, are you a member of this fictitious cricket club? Because I notice you're wearing cricket whites as we speak.
I'm a member of the MOBC, which is my own blooming colours.
Right, brilliant. Oh well. Is this in a genre in its own right, this book? Because I've not come across many cricket novels before.
No, there aren't many cricket novels. In fact, there's only about a dozen or so that have ever been written. The first one was written in the 1930s about village cricket life in the 1920s, called England, My England. And then there was another one recently written about cricket in America by O'Neill. And then there was recently one about cricket in the West Indies, called Beyond the Boundary. And there have been another couple of ones called 24 for 3. But cricket finds its way into a lot of places, although it doesn't have novels written about it especially. Most of the books that are written are mainly jokey, humorous, or they're fact novels, non-fiction, historical biographies. But the cricket finds its way a lot in the films and also in some other novels. Dickens has written one.
What's the Dickens novel?
That's Pickwick Papers, isn't it? Where they have a cricket match in Dingley Dell. And there's also a film, a TV series called Beyond Outside Edge, I think it's called.
I watched that. That is very enjoyable. I might say about the Outside Edge that when you watch that, I think the pace of life in the room slows down.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what I wanted to say about the reading experience of Guile and Spin. If I can just slightly take you down a little alleyway here. Have you ever been on a canal boat trip?
I have, yes. Very slow, aren't they?
Exactly. But slow, not in a grindingly slow way, more in a serene, this is how life should be.
That's right.
And that's what I find when I pick up your book and read it, is that it's a real tonic from the sort of pace of life we live at.
Yes.
It almost feels like when you open the book, you're opening the door onto the cricket club. What's it called? In the pavilion.
The pavilion, yes.
And you're sitting down with the team and having a cup of tea. It's got that sort of relaxed, warm sort of tone to it, which is really delightful, I thought.
Right.
I was going to ask you really whether you've always played cricket or have you more recently come to cricket?
Well, I've always had an interest in cricket. I've never been a very sporty person. I was no good at sport at school. Horrendous, in fact. Always bottom and picked last in the line. But cricket wasn't too bad. So I was able to cultivate a bit of an interest in that. And I didn't really play a lot of cricket until I had a midlife crisis, when I thought, I've reached my 50s now. Apparently, I'm supposed to have a crisis. I think I'll have one.
Was it right on time, was it?
It was, pretty well. And I thought, I better see how long I'm going to live, and better, take care of my health and things like that. And then I thought, well, what can I do to do that? And then I thought, well, perhaps I can take an interest in cricket. So in the same way that the character in the book has been made or led into resurrecting a cricket club, I had to resurrect my cricket life in order to save myself.
Oh my goodness, what a fantastic story.
Yes.
So it's a little bit autobiographical in a way.
Yes. Yeah, well, because I am a retired psychologist, so I tend to see psychology in everything. You can hardly do anything these days or write anything without realising, oh my God, that's from some kind of complex or other.
So I suppose that's perfect for an author, because you need to know about the psychology of your characters and how they interact, don't you, to make it realistic.
That's right, yes.
So is your psychology background brought into this book in any way directly?
It is, because one of the characters in the book, called Fardeep, is a cricket coach, and he uses various techniques to entice Jeremy, who's the hero, to actually play better cricket. I'm not necessarily saying that these are actually straight from mainline sports psychology and are guaranteed to work, but I think it's interesting ideas, a lot of them are, and they do work to some extent sometimes.
So have you got, it might be nice to hear a little passage from the book. I think, have you got a little passage you could read us, perhaps?
I can do. This is where, in fact, Jeremy is just practicing in some nets, in the cricket nets, and they've advertised for players to resurrect the club, and no one has turned up.
Yeah, I remember this scene well. Yeah.
So that's still, it's happened in real life, no doubt. And, so you hear Fardeep, the Singh, who's he's an Indian Sikh cricketing coach, and he's come over. He's part of the scam as well that's being played on Jeremy without his knowledge, trying to bring him able to play cricket. Jeremy has a little bit of interest in tennis. So Fardeep tries to get him to look at the ball. The body learns its space from the head. If the eyes stay on the ball, the head will bring the body to the right place. Look at the ball as it hits the bat. Can you see it do so? I wonder how you can see the moment when the ball hits the bat. The mind and the eye is not fast enough for that, surely. Even in tennis, we cannot see the ball on the racket. We only think we can. He bounced another ball. I patted this one again, but I couldn't see the moment the ball hit the bat. I saw the ball only a short while before contact and a short while afterwards. You must believe that you can see it. To achieve that, there is a way. You must believe and behave as though you have seen it. Do ghosts exist? I don't know. I've never seen one, I said as I struck another ball. No, that is because your mind does not want to see them. But if you believed in them, you would see them. People haven't seen them, except very few. Clearly, those people who want to believe in them will see them. Similarly, flying saucers. People want to believe in life from other planets, and those who are ready to believe will see them. He dropped another ball, and I struck it and felt the soft splat of a tennis ball and the bat, and saw the ball speeding away. I had a surge of accomplishment. Yes, see, you have done it. That is subliminal perception. So it is with you. Your eyes can see the ball, but your mind will not let them. You must always look for it, even though you don't think you can see it. Stare deeply down into the ball. Even though you don't know it, part of your mind will see it. Excited, I struck another ball, but not as cleanly as the last one. You must be perfectly calm to be able to look into the eye of the shot and see the ball in there. It is a secret which you must learn. It is all slow motion. Your bat will come down very slowly, even though you are there hitting it. In reality, it is very moving at a very fast speed, but to you, you will see it slow. It is like time stopped. Yes, but I don't think I'll have time to see any faster balls, I said. Oh, yes, you will. There is always time.
Wow. I wasn't expecting a performance like that, I must say. Are you formally trained?
No.
I must say that was quite riveting, the way you read that. I can imagine this as a play, having seen you perform the two parts there. I must say that was quite riveting, the way you read that. I can imagine this as a play, having seen you perform the two parts there. I might say that Fardeep is my favourite character in the book.
Yeah.
He is a big character and very charming. I wonder, there's a really good scene in it where he, I think you know the one I'm going to...
Right at the beginning, near the beginning, yeah.
This is a great scene where he demonstrates how to bowl a ball with an onion bhaji, I think it is. And he's demonstrating different spins. It's quite cleverly written, and it shows that you know what you're talking about, the actual technical side of cricket, I think. Actually, you are quite technical in quite a lot of it, especially when you're talking as Fardeep in the book. I mean, it seems like you do know your stuff. So I think cricket aficionados would be quite, pleased that that's there. But in terms of writing the different characters, did you have a favourite character to write?
With the first person, the reader identifies with you more, and you get trapped with the reader in the tale.
So that would be Jeremy in this.
That's right. Yes,
the main protagonist.
Yeah, so that's why I liked why I wrote it in the first person. And using parts of characters in the past that I knew. There's an old friend of mine who, I don't know if he's still alive now, but he was an Indian poet, and he was very sort of theatrical. And part of his personality I've used to create Fardeep.
Right, that would be why he's such a well-rounded sort of character.
That's right.
You really feel like you've met him when you read the book. And I mean, I think that's what a lot of writers do, isn't it? They take from their own life, almost like ingredients, and they cook a cake with them in the book. But it is. Fardeep, I just wondered if I could ask you about the charm Fardeep teaches Jeremy, because that in chapter 17 there's his charm. Could you say something about that?
Right. Well, Fardeep has to try to make Jeremy concentrate more and believe, and give him a lot of sense of self-belief. So he teaches him a very fast way in which he can sort of go straight into a kind of meditation mode, and which he can get into the zone, into his own bubble. And if you're batting, then the idea of the skill is that you are in a bubble, so you don't reach for balls that are way outside you can't, that you'll make an error with because they're too far away to control. So he has to bring Jeremy into this zone. So he gives him this charm, which is like a plastic sort of ring that he can stare deeply and uses a lot of suggestion to make him feel as though he's in this ring, and his mind is inside the charm with him and protected. It's actually Fardeep got them and bought them in bulk from people who were selling them around the Amritsar temple for a few cents each.
Right, so it has a power, but it's not a valuable.
No, that's right.
That is a very interesting point in the book, because it seems there that cricket and psychology come together in that object, don't they?
Yes,
you
that's
just
right.
integrated it there, and you're talking about cricket, and you're talking, obviously, with a lot of experience from your psychology background as well.
Yeah.
In a way, reading the book is a bit meditative, isn't it? And playing cricket is quite meditative.
It is, yes.
It's a long afternoon, often of slow sort of action. Again, in a good way, where you can get into the zone of the speed of the sport.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that intentional when you picked up the idea of writing a cricket novel?
Well, no, I think I was just trying to. I suppose it was the easiest sport for me because it's not much to do. You feel as though you're active, but you don't do a great deal. Although you quickly found out when you do have to do something.
So I'm going to take a 90-degree turn right now.
Yes, okay.
I'd like to zoom out a little bit from your novel, and I'd like to ask you perhaps a little bit more about what inspired you to write. And I've prepared you for this, which is a little segment that we're trying to do regularly, which is called Power of Five.
Yes.
So this is where I ask the writer that I'm interviewing to bring along 5 books that have had some power over them, and for different reasons, and perhaps have inspired them.
Yes. Well, I think the fundamental one is The Go-Between by L.P. Hartley. Because of the way it's told in the first person, someone looking back in recollection, and it's gripping all the way through, and there's intrigue.
A young adult book, or?
It's an adult to young adult book.
A current one, or was that written?
No, that's written quite some time ago by L.P. Hartley, who was a journalist, a novelist, and the central character there is a young boy who unwittingly, because he's naive, takes messages between 2 illicit lovers. So, and then it develops. He suddenly becomes aware of what he's done.
What's your next selection in Power of Five?
Sherlock Holmes.
One of my favourites.
Yes, I like this Sherlock Holmes character. This not quite a Superman, but fallible, but also with powers that you yourself might be able to possess if you'd like to bother to develop them. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, superpowers that don't need to be made up. They're available to every man if they will put in the time.
That's right. Yeah.
I recently looked at some of the books that have sold the most copies in history, and Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes was one of them.
Yes.
So one of the, I don't know my statistics, but one of the top 20 best-selling of all time or whatever, which is quite an accolade. I find them also very comforting and comfortable, sort of familiar, those books. But and you can almost sort of sit yourself in his study, can't you?
Right, yes.
I always imagine wood-panelled walls for some reason while I'm in.
Yeah, Victorian, dark, yes.
So that's a marvel. So what sort of power does that have over you, that book?
It's inspirational, isn't it? It feels as though you can do anything he can do, if only you put your mind to it.
I see.
And you can get out your chair. You don't have to get out of your armchair. You can, turn the page over and read the next one if you like. Your homes.
Fantastic. What's your third selection?
Any of the Jeeves stories by P.G. Wodehouse.
You're just listing my favourite books today.
Well, we'll see what you like the other 2 as well. Anyway, the inimitable Jeeves is good because I can hardly say it, and the humour of it, and the almost like the farcical quality, and how they can actually, how they actually could make, Worcester could make such a mess of things, and yet how Jeeves, working behind the scenes, will solve it all. So no matter how much, it's comforting. It's a kind of bread and pudding, custard kind of novel, because no matter how much you'll mess your life up, that's working behind the scenes somewhere. There's a Jeeves working for you who can sort it all out.
What an amazing comment! I'd never thought of it like that. I particularly got into it through the Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie series, series, and I saw Hugh Laurie being interviewed actually about. I think about his influences and things, and he mentioned P.G. Wodehouse, and I think what he said was quite similar to what you were saying in regards to it's a very comforting style of writing and story.
Yeah, that's right.
Perhaps when he wasn't feeling very sort of positive or very jovial, he could turn to that almost like a therapy almost. So
yes, that's right. Yes.
It's very strong for that. So up to number 4. What's your 4th choice?
That's a more modern one. The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry.
I've heard of that one, yes.
By Rachel Joyce. And she's a very skilled and famous writer, and written a lot of radio stuff. And this is the story of, once again, a man who is, although this is written in the third person, it's about a man who is trapped into doing something, which is he goes to post a letter to someone who's an old pal. He's quite aged himself, to an old friend who's liable to die soon. And he realizes that the letter just isn't enough. And what he'll do is, he won't post it in this post box. He'll post it in the post box down the road. He'll take a moment to think about it. And then eventually he decides the best thing to do is actually go and see her. So he starts this enormous journey, this pilgrimage from the breadth of England to try to reach this woman before she dies.
So what sort of power over you did that particular?
Well, the accomplishment of having been sort of psychologically trapped of your own volition into like an escapade about whether it will work or not, and then the sense of accomplishment at the end. I don't know if I should give the spoiler away by saying.
I don't think you should. No.
Okay. Well, it's a very interesting ending anyway.
Okay. Well, we'll have to read it. What's your final choice?
The final one is a book. Is a play which appears in a book form, and there's a lot of poetry in it, and it's called Under Milk Wood by Dylan Thomas.
Yes, that's very famous.
Yes, that's right. And I've won at least one reading competition when I was younger, by reading the opening scene, what they call the first voice. And I was very much impressed by all the characters there, and also by the setting that the Stan Tracy quartet had done in setting it to music, to jazz.
Yes.
It there.
I've heard of the Stan Tracy quartet. I've never heard that. Was it who was it who's famous for reading that?
Well, it was Donald Houston, who I think appeared with the quartet. But the famous reader was Richard Burton.
I thought so, yeah, Richard Burton.
Authoritative reading of it at the beginning.
Well, thank you for giving us your Power of 5. That's
okay.
A window into your sort of likes and enjoyments of reading, which is important to your own writing.